because it's a special evening for all of us, I just wanted to introduce our very first film so we can get started with the festivities. And our first film was created by Kaitlyn Clarke. She's a high school student that Dr. Lionel Mayu found. He actually found the family, and he'll elaborate a little bit more on that after the film. He's been quite a friend to Long Island Trio. And the family had a tragic loss of their grandfather who was waiting for a lung transplant. And they've dedicated their lives to building awareness for organ tissue and tissue donation. And they really are amazing. The brother did an Eagle project, and now Kaitlyn created a film. And we're going to show it now so you can all see it, and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion and continue with our evening. Thanks everyone for being here. And I'll say that again as more people sign on.
Hello, my name is Kaitlyn Clarke, and I am a Girl Scout, the president of the Junior American Legion Auxiliary, a junior firefighter, and an organ donation advocate. I am working on my Gold Award project, which is an organ donation registration and awareness campaign. Before I get into the data, facts, and questions, I would like to share my grandfather's story and his experience with organ donation. Years ago, my grandfather was cleaning the gutters of his home and fell off a ladder. In severe pain, he went to the hospital. The doctors came in and told him the good news is that he only broke and fractured a few ribs. However, the bad news is that he needed to see a pulmonologist. He had pulmonary fibrosis, and his only chance of survival was a lung transplant. After many doctor's appointments, he got on the lung transplant list and remarkably only waited 3 weeks for a match. This is extremely rare. Today, the most common organ needed is the kidney, and in New York the wait can be up to 7 years. Many, unfortunately, are not as lucky as my grandfather had been. I've been a trained volunteer with Live on New York since 2014. They taught me how to run organ and voter registration drives. I held voter registration drives for my Silver Award project because registering to vote and your driver's license are both opportunities in which you can register to become an organ donor. To create the action plan for my project, I met with Howie Poole of Long Island Trio. It's an outreach program for patients, which I've been a part of since my grandfather's surgery, and Dr. Lionel Mayu, who is a retired nephrologist. I held organ donor registration and educational drives at North Shore University Hospital and the Plandome Fire Department. With the fire department, I had one meeting with the senior and one with the junior department. At the senior department, I had Chief Strong speak about his experiences with being on the waiting list for a kidney. At the junior department, which I am secretary of, I introduced the concept of transplantation and donation. I had many more drives planned, but due to coronavirus, I had to cancel. Even though we are stuck at home, this topic remains important, if not more. Next, I will have some guest speakers speak about their experiences with the transplantation community.
Hi, my name is Brian Cooney. I'm a police officer who last year donated a kidney to a stranger at Stony Brook Hospital. The guy who got my kidney is not a stranger anymore. Now we're friends, and everything worked out great. I was in the hospital for a couple of days, but everything is fine now. No pain or anything like that. I just have a small scar on my stomach, and everything is cool. Hopefully everyone who sees my story can become an organ donor today. Lots of people are waiting for transplants, and the more people that sign up, the better.
Hello, my name is Jeff Fenn. I am the director of the school education program for Long Island Transplant Recipients International Organization, also known as TRIO. Currently, New York State is 50th out of 50 states. We are the worst when it comes time for people to sign up to be a donor or to donate. Because of that, there is an extremely long wait for transplants here in New York. For the last 11 plus years, our program has educated students on the importance of enrolling to become an organ donor. By providing facts and telling our stories, we give students a first-hand perspective on the miracles that come from being an organ donor. Today, over 113,000 people are waiting for transplants in the United States today. In 2019, almost 40,000 people received transplants. Well, that's only around 30%, which means that 70% of the people who actually needed transplants didn't get them. So they're waiting and hoping that a transplant comes in to save their lives. Because, unfortunately, 22 people die every day because there's just not enough organs to go around. I am a 3-time kidney transplant recipient. I know firsthand about waiting on a list, hoping and praying that an organ transplant comes in order to save my life. I think of my 3 donors every day and thank them for making that decision to donate their organs and save people's lives. I ask you to think about this. Are you willing to take an organ transplant if it was to save your life? If the answer is yes, then you should enroll to become an organ donor. Thank you very much.
There's no junk in the background, right?
No. Hello. I am Lionel Mayu, MD, a nephrologist associated with the Northwell Health System and the Zucker School of Medicine at Hofstra here on Long Island. I have known of Kaitlyn's efforts to enlist organ donors, which is a very noble cause, period. She has family reason to be interested in this. She knows the fact that there are at least 130,000 people awaiting organ donations in the United States, the vast majority of them being kidneys because of people who have developed kidney failure and who are currently on dialysis, which is not an ideal way to live, but you do survive. I fully support her efforts to enlist organ donors since it will save lives and promote healthier lifestyle with far fewer complications for the people who receive their organs rather than being on life-sustaining treatments such as dialysis, ventricular pumps for heart failure, and forced oxygen with intermittent pressure breathing for people with lung failure. This is extremely worthwhile.
Thank you for listening. You too can save lives. Register today.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. So you can hear me? So Dr. Mayu, thank you. It was wonderful for you to participate in that video. Can you tell us how you met the Clarke family and how you got even more involved in helping promote organ tissue donation?
I've been very concerned for several years in my career, which spanned from 1968 through my retirement in 2018. And prior to that, some years in the military doing nephrology, that it became very obvious that transplantation was the very best possible treatment for patients who could undergo a transplant. That being said, it became very obvious as time went on and more people developed in my field end-stage kidney disease, but also lungs, livers, pancreases, heart, that the supply was pitifully small compared to the need. And I promoted to some degree during my clinical years, especially by lecturing to house staff at Northwell, a few community lectures now and again, like to the Rotary or the Knights of Columbus, but got ignited quite a few years ago when Kaitlyn's older brother, Martin, sort of discovered that I was interested in this, and we linked up, and the whole family totally became more energized then they're already level of energy because of the grandfather's plight. And then they started with organ donation awareness program, an actual couple of drives in town, through church, through the fire department, through North Shore University Hospital. And a lot of this was done with the help of Dr. Momenti, who was the chief of kidney transplants, and many others in the Department of Medicine and Nephrology who helped get administration on board at North Shore. And the torch was picked up and carried even a little higher with Kaitlyn's efforts, because she had to deal with a little bit more adversity last year, well, the beginning of this year, when the virus hit, because she had so many programs lined up, and then began doing virtual things. But it's extremely worthwhile, and I'm very happy and proud to be involved with the Clarkes. They're really good guys.
Thank you for being involved and so dedicated and a continued supporter of Long Island Trio. We can't
you're
tell you
very
how much
welcome.
it means to us. Thank you so much. And for highlighting the gifts of life, everybody, you really are dedicated and it really does make a difference and it shows. So thank you. We really are so grateful.
Happy
So-
holidays to everyone.
Oh, thank you. You too, and your wife and family.
Yep.
Share what your background is, because everyone's asking, and then we'll go on to the other end of the island. What's your background?
Well, I trained in nephrology at what is now Drexel Medical School in Philadelphia. Then went into the United States Army at Walter Reed in the Department of Nephrology, where I spent 2 years during the Vietnam crisis war in 1966 to 68. Then after getting out of the Army, I worked at Mount Sinai and then came to North Shore in 1970, full-time, where I was essentially until I retired. Since my retirement, up until the spring of this past spring, April, March, when everything shut down, I had been giving lectures to the residents and the departments of medicine and the departments of family practice at a bunch of the affiliated hospitals. And the two topics that I dealt with were A, progressive chronic kidney disease, and B, the need for transplants and organ donation.
That's
And-
wonderful. And you've shared that with us often, and you've come and done presentations, and we are really appreciative. So thank you so much, Dr. Mayu.
Good.
We're really grateful to hear.
Look, you're very welcome. I'm here to try to help. I don't know exactly what we can do right now with all this isolation, because hands-on, when you have residents and physicians right in front of you, it's much easier to pound them into submission
Aw.
than Zoom.
Well, Northwell had a transplant meeting that you were so kind and told us all about it, and we had it as one of our programs for all members. So thank you. Continue to do that. We are so grateful. And
May I put in a plug?
sure, go ahead.
For anyone who might be interested, this coming Monday evening,
Yeah.
there's a Zoom meeting where medical students and nurse practitioner students interviewed active hemodialysis patients for how the treatment affects them and the like.
I sent out the email. I'll resend it, I promise you.
Okay, I know you sent it out because I got a copy of the flyer, but I
Yeah.
just want to remind people if
No, thank you. I'll resend it. Thank you so much for doing so.
you're
Really
very
wonderful.
welcome. Yep,
So
God
for
bless you all.
God bless you. So from one end of the island, we're going to travel to the other end of the island, and we're going to hear from one of our Rose Garden speakers. We're going to hear from three speakers that were youngsters and like young when they spoke, and now they're mature and doing wonderful things and still very involved. So I'm going to go to Stony Brook, and ironically enough, our next speaker, Michael Reed, works at Stony Brook, and he'll introduce Steve Napick and Chris Metz as well. So Michael, welcome, and it's so great to see you, Michael Reed, and thanks to your family for being there too.
Thank you, Joy.
Too.
Thank you, Joy. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's a little hard of hearing with the whole mask on and stuff. I started wearing the heavy duty mask now because it's been creeping up here, all the cases and such. But other than what's going on right now, I've been doing pretty good.
Tell us what you. Some people don't know what you had. Some people don't know your background. Just tell us a little bit about that and how now you're working at Stony Brook. How impressive! I guess they did a good job, and you were so impressed with the employees. So
yeah, I'd like to take it back around 7 years ago. I got a kidney transplant. My father gave me his kidney around 7 years ago. I was on the list for basically my whole life until they told my parents that I needed one. And it was coming to the point where I had to go on dialysis, yet I was promised like over and over again I didn't have to go on dialysis. And it was actually during November of not 100% of what year, but I went on peritoneal dialysis. And I was on there for a couple months until they asked, well, do you have any family that is willing to give or is a match? And we had two people, my dad and my cousin. And my cousin was all the way in Oregon, but she wound up not being a match. And then my dad became a match. And from there, we started the process. And I believe it was a week or two later, I went in for surgery here in this amazing, huge lobby of a hospital that I run into people every day that worked with me, nurses. I actually ran into Steve last week. Yeah.
You told me.
Very ironic. Yeah. Oh, he did. Oh, look at that. But then after those 7 years, I recuperated. Now I finally have the job I've been waiting for here at Stony Brook. I do patient transport. It's a nice little start to get into here. I'm really excited to be here, and it's going really well.
That's wonderful. So you saw Steve. You can introduce Steve, and he's part of your healthcare team. And then Steve, maybe you can introduce Chris, who we all know as well. And Steve has been a great speaker and a great friend. So thank you for coming, and thank you, Michael, for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, Hanif.
Happy holidays to everybody. It's nice to be here at a trio meeting via Zoom. I'm not used to this, but I'm working from home now. Yeah, Michael, it's hard to believe it was 7 years ago. I'll be honest with you, it took a lot more than a week to get your dad ready to be a donor. As you know, it's an interview process, and it's a matter of getting blood work, urine testing, CAT scans, chest x-rays, colonoscopies. And then a multidisciplinary team, evaluates the living donor, because our goal is to obviously make Michael better through a transplant and give him a better quality of life. And at the same time, to keep dad safe. Taking out a kidney doesn't make a person better. So we certainly do not want to make them worse. So it's a very involved process. It takes a little bit more than a week. And then Michael's right. I happened to run into him in the elevator. He's grown up so much, I didn't even recognize him. And he turns around and goes, "Hey, Steve." It's like, it's Michael Reed. And it's like, wow. And, I have a special fondness for Michael and his dad. They they lived in Wantor. Michael went to MacArthur High School in Levittown, where I graduated back in '73, I think it was. You know, we're a very busy living kidney donor program as well as a transplant program. You know, we did our first transplant in 1981. Since then, we've done close to 2,000 transplants, and of that 2,000, about, I would say 600 plus have been from living donors. And the bottom line, if it wasn't for the donor, whether it's a deceased donor family or a living donor, transplantation would never occur. And with, you know, Michael's dad, Adam, by him donating a kidney to Michael, saves 2 lives. It takes Michael off the list, and then someone gets prioritized right after that. They get bumped up the list and they get prioritized to get a transplant. So every living donor essentially saves 2 lives. I've been doing this a long time. I've been an RN for 40 years. I've been in transplant for going on 35 years. I did organ procurement for 1986 to 1997. Then I ran the eye bank at Northwell for about 11 or 12 years. And I'm back out in Stony Brook for another, I guess 13 years. The bottom line is I got my Medicare card this week. So that's the sign that I'm going to be retiring in February. But I'll still have my hand in the transplant process. But, you know, I appreciate Michael coming forward. You know, it's not an easy surgery for a young man. You know, no one wants to see a young person with a transplant. You know, there's something that you don't expect. But for the grace of his dad, which was a good match, his dad, Adam, stepped forward. We procured his kidneys successfully. And then we hired Adam. He works in the IT department with the telephone system. And now we got Michael. So it's all a family affair. And I believe you guys moved from Wantor and you moved out east towards Stony Brook. So, you know, I'm very proud of him. He's taking care of that kidney, which is always tough on the young recipients. You know, there's so many stresses to hang out with the friends and have a good time. But, you know, Michael's done a great job taking care of that kidney. So my hat's off to him. So, but, you know, I'm around. And also on this Zoom call, I invited another new employee to Stony Brook. It's Christopher Mells. And Chris, I think it's like 11 years ago, donated a kidney to his buddy and essentially saved his buddy's life. There he is.
There I am.
And Chris is now, you know, he's in training, but he's learning all the ropes. But, you know, he became a registered nurse, and he's also going to be our community outreach coordinator to show the importance of organ donation and transplantation to the community.
Great to see you, Chris. Thank you for speaking with Trio in the past as well.
Absolutely.
So it's just so nice to see friends on this holiday party event. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for being there. Thank you, Steve. It's great to see you, and your continued support is wonderful. I think we're going to see Steve again next month. Keeping our fingers crossed. We have a great program planned. So let's see what happens. It's going to be really fun.
I have a question, Joy. Can I ask a question to Steve?
Sure.
Sure. Go ahead.
Great. Hi, Steve. Doug Housman. So the incredible history, 40 years. I mean, congratulations. It's just absolutely amazing. So my question to you is, like, you know, in terms of organ procurement, you know, what is like the biggest change that you've seen? Like, what's the, you know, the big, obviously a lot of things have changed with the OPOs and, you know, and people making the decision to donate and everything. But, well, like, what's the kind of the biggest change you've seen, and when did that happen?
I think the organ procurement process has grown immensely. Yeah, I first got involved with organ transplants around 1983 when I ran the ICU at South Nassau Community Hospital, and we had a trauma victim. You know, back then there were really not a lot of transplant programs. There were no heart programs back then. And you know, I remember going up to the neurosurgeon, a doctor by the name of Mihai Dimichescu, and I said, "Too bad this young brain dead donor, we can't use his organs for transplant." And we started chatting a little bit. Next thing we know, we made a few phone calls, and Stony Brook had a program. and they sent out a coordinator and a social worker, and they got consent from the family back then. There was no significant donor questionnaire. They asked the family, HIV was just coming into play around then. So it was very antiquated. UNOS wasn't even around. So, and then when I went to the OR to watch the recovery, I realized that's what I want to do in my career. And I've been doing it pretty much since. And then when I came into organ procurement in '86, UNOS kind of just starting out. I worked with organ sharing. And I remember getting my first newsletter from them, and there was only 13,000 people on the national waiting list back then. Now, it did peak at around 124,000 a couple of years ago, but it's still pretty high. It's 113,000. So the regulations have changed tremendously. I don't want to say they put handcuffs on the transplant centers or on the procurement centers, but the goal of Center for Medicare Services and UNOS is to build a better mousetrap and keep everybody safe, particularly living donors, and also make sure we honor the wishes of deceased donors. The technology certainly has changed. I mean, when I first started doing procurement, I was carrying glass IV bottles to the OR. I did the perfusion. My surgeon would come and take the kidneys. I would go in. I would take the spleen, the lymph nodes. Today, it's totally different. They have family counselors that talk to the family. They have perfusionists. They have residents. I mean, back in those days, it was pretty chaotic and pretty primitive. I mean, I used to take kidneys home with me because the courier systems back then would get to the hospital late. So I used to bring them home and have my own courier service pick them up. So but it's grown. UNOS is extremely well established now. The allocation system has been changed. It's actually going to change again on December 15th. There will be no more what they call donor service areas or regions. Like New York is Region 9, that's going to disappear. Kidneys will be based on where the donor hospital is and the 250 nautical mile radius from that hospital is the way they're going to be selecting a recipient. So it's changing. It's changing. I'm getting too old to be running around anymore, but I'll keep my finger in it. But the technology has certainly changed. Heart pumps are so much different than they were, 15 years ago. Liver recoveries are so much different. And the transplant survival rates are tremendous. I mean, when I first started, we were using, OKT3, we were using prednisone, cyclosporin came in. People were taking the medication in eyedroppers and putting it into their chocolate milk, and hopefully they got enough of it. And then came out Neoral, which was a capsule form. And then Fujisawa company developed FK506, which eventually turned into Prograf and then turned into Invarsis. So the leap in transplant has really been the medications, the anti-rejection drugs, as well as the monoclonal antibodies that patients get when they do have rejection. Now, if you watch any of the TV commercials, everybody, they got drugs for psoriasis, they got drugs for irritable bowel syndrome, they got drugs for dry eye. All those drugs are basically monoclonal antibodies, which came out of transplantation. So I think the future is going to be really bright. If we follow Dr. Tom Starz's theory of chimera or chimerism, I hope I live to see the day when transplant patients no longer need these heavy doses of anti-rejection drugs. I think it's going to happen, but it will take a while.
Thank you, Steve. That was great. So you've all met Doug Housman, and so this is another very special part of our program. And Doug, would you take over and introduce your crew and your film and our director? Go ahead. And the family.
Hi, everyone. We appreciate the chance to talk about Hearts for Us this evening. We've got several board members here. You're about to hear the Hearts for Us story, so I don't have to tell you that because you're gonna get an earful of it for about 5 minutes. But I do want to first introduce you to Pam, who is Russ's wife, and his daughter Kaitlyn. who helps out tremendously with the organization, and Pam is our event coordinator and the heart of Hearts for Russ Housman. So that's Pam. And is John here? I'm going to just point to John. John, who's moved to the bedroom, and John is our vice president and the LI Trio liaison. And Jim, did Jim make it? No. Jean Shields.
Yes, she's here.
Spotlight. No. Oh, and there's Lauren. Cool. That's really cool.
And I'm here.
And Jim is here. Okay, so I'm going to first just see Lauren, and you're going to hear about Lauren in the Hearts for Russ story, because she was our first recipient of the Hearts for Russ award, and she is the namesake for Lawrence Law here in New York, which requires everyone to get their to answer the donor question when they get their driver's license or their permit. And his living donor mother, or her living donor mother, Jean, who is also one of our board members. So thanks to all of you for joining. And Jim, are you still there? Is that you, Jim? There he is. There's Jim. And Jim is our treasurer, the person who makes sure that Hearts for Russ judiciously and correctly and to the maximum effect brings in the dollars, but also ensures that our dollars go to great causes. And one of the great causes that we've been supporting since we started in 2013 is LI Trio. And so we are very pleased to have been a supporter of Long Island Trio for many years, helping with their education programs, helping with their beautiful Rose Garden ceremony, with doing events with James Mateiko and organizing events at Shea Stadium, et cetera. And just lots of, there's James, and just lots of great activity. And so we value this organization. We hope it continues to thrive. I know there's some changes coming, but we ask this organization to step up and continue to do the great things that it needs to do for the people of Long Island who are involved in the organ donation space. So we want and will continue to support this organization, and we hope that you continue to thrive. So at that, I'm going to show you the Hearts for Russ story, which is was put together by our director friend Michael Drucker. Michael, who is just an amazing filmmaker, has been working with us for years now. And we're going to talk a little bit about our latest project after we've shown Hearts for Russ, or the Russ Housman story.
You'll get to see Lauren's doctor too on this film. So that's pretty exciting. And James Mateiko and Jean, Lauren's mom. So it'll be really nice seeing everybody on the big screen or our little screens, whatever we
My brother Russ was born with a congenital heart condition.
He had transposition of the great vessels, which meant that his heart was functioning backwards. He was baptized within hours of his birth because he was not expected to live much longer. At the age of 10, he had a heart attack, and one of the first of his many pacemakers were installed.
Actually, one of the first kids in America to receive a pediatric pacemaker back in 1977 down at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. But my brother had a resilience. I mean, it was really amazing how he worked through essentially a broken heart pretty much his entire life.
The transposition of the great vessels led to the weakening of his heart and the start of congestive heart failure at only 42.
He went through a left ventricular assist device, assisted heart, including a total artificial heart.
My dad was so sick that he was on the recipient list from April to August as 1A, which is the very top.
I was scared on a daily basis, terrified of just losing him. And I felt bad hoping for somebody to pass that could help him.
He finally got his heart in August of 2013.
I pulled into the driveway at 5:05 and I got a text from Russ. They found a heart. I was terrified because now it could go 50-50. He could survive it or he couldn't. They tried so hard. They worked on him for 23 hours trying to save him for me. But due to complications, it just didn't happen. So we'll survive. We miss him terribly, but we'll survive.
It was just too important to just let him pass and not do something about it. He would have wanted us to. So we started Hearts for Russ Housman.
Hearts for Russ Housman raises money for heart and transplant-related causes. This year we've decided to honor individuals with the first annual Hearts for Russ Housman Awards.
We really wanted to recognize people who were doing something to make a difference in the organ transplant community.
Hearts for Russ Housman is so pleased to present the first annual Donor Recipient Award to Ms. Lauren Shields.
My story is not unlike many of the recipients in this room. We never forget to honor our donors. Because of our second chance, we appreciate the small things and marvel at the simplest of events, because we all came just so close to being angels too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to present the 2017 Hearts for Russ Housman Physicians Award to Dr. Warren Zuckerman.
It's quite an honor to be here and be honored by Hearts for Russ Housman. I mean, it's just an incredible feeling.
We are pleased to present the 2017 Hearts for Russ Housman Donor Family Award to James Mateiko and his father, Jim Mateiko Sr.
We're here to honor my mother, Theo. She's the one that really deserves this award. She's the one that gave the gift of life. Because of her tremendous donation, many lives were saved, including 2 people that received sight again by her donation through her eyes.
It was amazing when we found out she made 2 people see again. It was fantastic. I mean, it down deep in my heart, it was beautiful.
We're also grateful to this wonderful organization, Hearts for Russ Housman.
My dad, Russ, is missed and his life is celebrated each and every day.
Russ was a Samaritan.
Russ would be incredibly proud of what we've been able to do.
It's satisfying, it's enlightening, it's joyful.
It feels like my brother's spirit is here.
I don't know if he's staying back here for me, but I feel him, I have dreams about him.
And the fact that we can do this and give back in his name is such a special thing because we're keeping his spirit alive.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. I get teary every time I see that.
The bar came back from me.
So hard. We also want to make sure that we recognize Dr. Zuckerman, who was our first Physicians Award recipient and was Lauren and Jean's cardiologist through Lauren's transplant back when she was 9 years old. Dr. Zuckerman, you got anything? Maybe we can do a little, just for a minute, maybe just have the 3 of them talk. Joy, is that all right?
Yeah.
We highlight both of them.
And perhaps later you can add James as a donor family
Absolutely.
in part of the film.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
So, Dr. Zuckerman, what was that like watching it again? It was like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, I know. It's quite something. It was quite an honor. I kind of feel like major reason I got that award though is because of Lauren, right? So to be clear, I was actually training in pediatric cardiology at the time that Lauren was first sick. And it's definitely true that, patients like Lauren and specifically Lauren and her family are a major reason why I even went into heart transplant and heart failure. and a lot of obviously the major focus that of our job on a day-to-day basis is to help patients who are really sick, like Lauren was, and in terms of the work that needs to be done to advocate for organ donation and all that. I wish that I could spend more time on it, and it's just incredible to be grouped with somebody like Lauren and her family and all the work that they've done, and also James Mateiko, and I really think even that night, and I still think about it, that the focus really should be on the other people who won the award that night. But it's a great honor, and I really enjoy it. And Lauren and Jean can talk more about her journey, which continues, and they're really incredible, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of her life for the last decade.
Jean, Lauren, you want to say anything, Lauren?
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, everyone knows, I think, here that I had the heart transplant in 2009, but more recently I had a kidney transplant, and that was in July 2020. And thankfully, Mom was a match for me. So we did it together. And, I thank God that she was able to be a match for me. And, waiting for that news to find out if she was a match was definitely the days just felt so long waiting to find out. But since then, we've both been doing really, really well. I went right back to school after I came home. I started, the semester again, and next week is finals week. So I'll be finishing up school next week. And next Friday, I'll also be coming for an appointment. So I'll be seeing Dr. Zuckerman next Friday for a biopsy. And, we're doing really well.
You look really well.
You look fantastic. You look just fantastic. Glowing. You're both glowing.
This is the best I've felt in a very long time. I think I didn't realize how sick I was with the kidneys, and that was definitely such a slow decline health-wise for me, that when I finally got the kidney, I felt like a brand new person. Like I wanted to get back to school right away and get back to working out, and I'm back to all those things again. I'm starting to gain weight because I lost so much weight there. So, I'm just healthy again. So I feel very lucky.
Great to see you. All right, Joy, we're.
I just want to say, Dr. Zuckerman, you can't get away from the fact that, you can't do that handoff, because Lauren, you were such a, huge part of why Lauren did as well as she did, not just from the medical aspect, but just, you've always been a friend, and you've always been somebody that we can go to and ask questions. We trust you, 110%. And, this is a good opportunity for us in a public forum to tell everyone, just how great you are. So, and thank you so much for everything. I'm really, as a mom, I have to say thank you.
Thank you for saying that. It's very nice. And Lauren, I know we've alluded to it, but I know the conversation that your mom is thinking of that we had by the elevator on 9 Tower many years ago. Wow, you've come a long way since that day, right? It's incredible to see, how you look now, and the things that you're going to do in the future, and that you've already done. But thank you so much for saying those nice things.
So this is proof positive how heartwarming it is and how rewarding it is for those involved in transplant, and the caretakers, as well as the doctors that are so key, and the nurses too. So thank you. And Lauren has been one of our Rose Garden speakers as well. And it's really wonderful because she's grown up with Long Island Trio, and our other speakers have grown up with Long Island Trio. I have to also mention that each year at the Rose Garden, many participants are here that are supportive and come to the Rose Garden, Sotos, the Scarectas, our speakers, which you're going to hear in a few moments. But every year we also have a donor mom that's here, Barbara Musto, and she comes in from Florida to come to the Rose Garden event. She actually flies in to see everybody from Long Island Trio and to see the Rose Garden. And this year we couldn't, but we did the video, which was very special. And so I have a shout out to Joanne, who's here, and she helped tape the film. And of course, Michael Drucker, he can't get away from us. We really relied on him for a lot of advice on how we can pull it off without people coming to the Rose Garden and participating and taking the film. So our donor mom, Barbara Musto, was also involved in a quilt. Oh, here's Joanne. She took the film. She did a great job. Those of you that can see the Rose Garden film that we did this year to honor our donor families, and we're so grateful to them, each and every one of them. James helps work on the Rose Garden event as well. And Barbara Musto sends birthday cards to all recipients. She also was one of the first people that created the quilt. And I saw that Ronnie Schwartz is here too, and she's come to the Rose Garden and bought quilts as well. So we're so grateful to everybody for their participation. And thank you for everything that everybody does and that participates. So Jillian, you were one of our I talked about the speakers and I said the cherubs. And so I know that wasn't very masculine from Michael, Mike Reed, but Jillian, you were so little the first time we were putting the chair, and then we had to step.
Yeah, I had to still step up on a stool just to reach the microphone. I probably still have to do that, but
no, you were a baby practically. So
yeah, I was really young when I first started speaking.
Go ahead, tell us a little bit more.
All right, so hi everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. For those of you who don't know me, I was born with biliary atresia, which is a rare pediatric liver disease in which the bile ducts don't form properly, causing bile to build up without any way to drain, eventually leading to cirrhosis. So although a temporary drainage system was made for me, was made for my liver, I was very young. So I was very young at that point, and it gave me time to grow up and get stronger before eventually having the transplant. So now the discovery of a cancerous tumor in my liver led to the transplant at age 7. It's now been 15 and a half years since my transplant. I'm very fortunate because other than a faulty liver scan last year indicating that my liver was no longer healthy and that I might need another liver transplant, I've been doing great. I'm living and enjoying my life, including traveling, and in 2019 graduating from college at LIU Post with a degree in communications with a focus on public relations. So since graduating, I've had a few internships, including my intern at North Shore Animal League America. I interned for Northwell Health, and I am currently doing a social media internship with a sports radio network while looking for a job. But then as we all know, COVID came, then came COVID. And as for all of us, things changed. So since COVID started, I've had some strict rules from my liver doctor. So to basically stay in the house, except for taking walks and going to doctor's appointments, so as to reduce the chances of my being infected. Let's see. So right now, so to keep myself sane and busy during COVID, I am finishing up so I'm still at the radio station, and I am right now at the moment I am finishing up a 3-month seasonal customer service position for a store in the Midwest, and also which is also a remote position, which is very nice. So I don't have to go anywhere. I just have to talk on the phone for a couple hours a day, which is not bad. And then I am currently looking for a job in PR, marketing, digital marketing, social media. So if anybody knows of any opportunities or connections, I'd greatly appreciate it. To end, I wish everyone a healthy and safe holiday season and look forward to seeing you all in person when it is safe to do so. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
I really appreciate it. I have to give another shout out to Susan Dillon, who's one of our board members. You all met James. So thank you, Susan, for being there and coming to all the Rose Garden ceremonies. She actually lives in Westchester now, and she travels down when she can, and she's quite dedicated along with her family. And hi, Sue. Nice to see you. And her daughter is a recipient, a kidney recipient. So we just heard from Jillian, and her daughter shares a lot of the similar stories as Jillian shared. So thank you so much, Sue, for your dedication. And everybody met Howie. He's on our board as well and dedicated as well. And newsletter writer and editor. And he always is very supportive each and every time we have films going on. He was instrumental in how, well, actually, Howie and I hung out the whole day and hours and hours and hours when Michael Drucker was creating and working on the Gift of Life film. Michael, do you want to say a little something about that before we hear Acacia?
Yeah, sure. I'll just share my screen here for a moment. And we just got news this week that Gifts of Life just got into its 16th film festival, the Long Beach International Film Festival, playing December 17th through the 20th virtually. We had 5 live festivals before the pandemic hit. These would have all been great experiences for everyone to get together. Mm-hmm. But we're so happy that this has been a nice long festival run for us. We debuted in November of 2019 at the Cineapolis Theater in Manhattan and won Best Short Documentary at the Big Apple Film Festival. That was 13 months ago. And it's still playing, and we're just so happy that the message is still getting out there.
So there you go. We talked about COVID stopping things, but it didn't really stop things. It kept things going, and we thought outside the box, and we were lucky enough to partner with an amazing group of individuals that were really dedicated and wanted to make a difference. So thank you for everybody involved. And we're also excited to hear from Acacia. I know that you have a lot of wonderful things that you're doing. So thank you. Share your story. And it's so great to see you. It's been a while at the Rose Garden.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Joy. Hi, everyone. I just want to start off by thanking you so much for having me to speak with you guys today. And I just want to let you know how grateful I am to be a part of this wonderful community and be able to celebrate the gift of life with you all while we go through these very, very challenging times together. And as some of you may know, my story started before I was born. I suffered from intestinal malrotation disorder while my mom was still carrying me. So this means that my small intestines twisted at the very top while they were still forming in my body, causing the rest of the organ to become completely malfunctional. So within hours of being born, 98% of my intestines were removed in an emergency surgery. And this left me relying on drains, pumps, and parental nutrition to live. And the TPN that I received was keeping me nourished in the only way that I could tolerate, but it was also toxifying my liver at the same time. And I was quickly diagnosed with end-stage liver disease. At that time, time was running out for me as my system started to shut down. And the only way that I could survive was through transplantation. And finally, on September 13th of 2003, I received a small bowel, liver, and pancreatic transplant. And my life was saved by someone who had the mercy in their heart to make the ultimate sacrifice for a stranger. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And I'm very excited to say that my life has come full circle, and I am now a freshman at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, studying to be a nurse in the same city in which I received my transplant so many years ago. I just couldn't be more thrilled to think that I might be the one to change someone's life or provide aid to someone in need, or just be there to hold a hand and reassure a patient like myself as so many dedicated medical professionals have done for me over the years. I absolutely love it in Pittsburgh, and I've been able to explore a few museums, parks, and restaurants, as well as visit the streets I've known forever, just a block or two from my hospital, Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. Over the past month, however, I unfortunately have not been able to immerse myself in the college experiences as much as I would have liked, as I have been facing some medical challenges that have brought me to the ER on several occasions. I also recently spent a week in my hospital. And as difficult as it was to drop everything and rush to the hospital on my own from school, literally in the campus police car right to my hospital, I am just so lucky to have so many people who support me, including my amazing roommate who brought a bag of clothes and my study materials while I was in the hospital. Many friends and family checking up on me, calling and texting to see how I was. Of course, my father, who drove 8 hours on his birthday to be there for me while I underwent procedures. And I just have to say, the doctors and nurses were so amazing, attending to my every need and even helping me make slime and color while I was NPO waiting for a procedure. It was so amazing. And I just couldn't be more taken aback by the compassion, dedication, focus of the medical professionals in the transplant team who helped make this possible. And I can never go a day without thanking God for my angel parts, as I always like to call them, from my precious donor, even on the days when they require some extra attention lately. And I couldn't be more appreciative of communities and people like you who spread the word, live the experiences, and make events like this possible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here to speak.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I know you're going to be an amazing member of the healthcare team. And your appreciation really speaks loudly. And it's perfect during this time of year as Jean and Lauren and Dr. Zucker, all the doctors that spoke and the nurses talked about great gratitude and appreciation. And I really think that is such a fitting topic for tonight. And may we carry it throughout the holiday and into 2021. And may it be special for everybody. And I know that everybody here is wishing each other a happy and merry and happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and everything. It's great to see Kathleen and Ronnie and Robert and Sotos and Sue, and I'm not going to say everyone, Amanda, thank you. We had a great crew and a great number of people that were here sharing our holiday, our special meeting tonight. I hope you all really enjoyed it. And I know, thank you, Judy, for coming, and Paul and Chris and everybody that helped put this together. And I know somebody had Christmas music that they were going to play. Please, that'll be a great way to end the evening. And everybody, Merry Christmas. Stay tuned for next month. We are going to have a great program. Doug, would you like to say something?
No. I was just going to say hi to Ike Copperman, too, who's here from TSO in West.
Oh, thank you. I didn't see you, Ira. I know you told me you were going to be on. Oh, there he goes. Hi. I didn't see your face.
Thank you very much for having me. This has been a delight to see all of you, and still remember coming out to the club for a Long Island Trio celebration a couple of years ago. Certainly hoping that we'll all be able to get together personally, face to face very soon, and wishing everyone and everybody to stay safe, stay healthy, do all that you can to just keep your gifts happening every single day.
Thank you.
And thank you, Doug. Good seeing you as well.
It's great to see everyone. Thank you, Jennifer and Jerry and Adam and Barbara, who moved all the way out east, but still try to be involved. We're really grateful. And all our speakers, our gentlemen, and our cherubs and our physicians and healthcare professionals, we're really grateful to each and every one of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and may 2021 be healthy for all of us. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Happy
Thank
holidays.
you.